For me, the daily routine is one of the most critical elements of a trading system. It protects you from the manipulations of the market. It protects you from doing stupid stuff. For me, it's even more important than setups and even psychology, because this is the fix for your psychology. I'm a Stacey Burke style trader that enhanced the Stacey Burke system with some of his own elements. And in this video, I will go with you through my whole daily routine, morning to evening, London and New York session, every step, every template, no secrets. So join me and I will show you how I do it. So here it is, my daily routine for European time in the morning and Eastern time for the afternoon session. I will try to keep the theory in this video very low and stay on the charts as much as possible. So we just start off with the overview and then we will go to the charts and I will show you everything I do really on the charts. So how does it work? Morning, I'm getting up at 7 o'clock. 1.5 hours in the morning for the family, preparing the kids for kindergarten, having some coffee, a little bit of breakfast maybe, and then I start off with the charts. 8:30 to 9 o'clock, so half an hour I take for my London heat map analysis. So I always start off with the heat map. I do the higher time frame analysis, thesis generation, shortlist ideas. That's the heat map I produce and then also post on the Discord. If you're not joined that yet, I encourage you to do so. I post my heat maps for London and New York every day. And there you see all my thoughts on the market, my ideas. It's of course not final because with the open often things change, but this is kind of how I start off into the session. Then for me it's very important in both sessions, after I do my heat map analysis, I post it, then I leave the screen again. In London typically even for an hour I go for a run, for a workout. This is really important to prepare the mindset, protect you from triggered entries into the market. You don't look at it so much. That's very important. Don't sit in front of the screen all day. You force your process onto the market. You don't sit there and wait for something. So that's why after this half an hour analysis, I leave the screen for an hour, go for a run, and then I come back completely refreshed. And then my core trading window starts. And in London, I typically only consider 3 entries. 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock are the main ones. I sometimes look at 9:30, but I prefer the 10 o'clock one. Major time rotations, very important. I have a video on it if you like, but I will also show you later. In this trading window, I'm screening the session. I have my ideas. I have my ideas on the chart. I'm screening my shortlist and I'm focusing on the major time rotations. The only thing I'm thinking about is any of my trades confirming or not? Is it a scalp or is it a runner into the New York session? So you sit there, you think about that and take a decision on that, but you don't come up with a lot of new ideas, especially if you're a newer trader. Don't produce any ideas during the session. You have your idea from before, and in the session you only think about is it confirming or not. Then after that, from 11 o'clock, I'm using the time for other elements of my trading business. I'm preparing videos like now, or I'm doing mentoring, coaching. I do backtesting, work on new ideas and concepts. So really stepping back and doing other stuff. Then we come to the New York session, Eastern time. I switch to Eastern time here to explain it better. I come to the screen again at maybe 8:45, end of first hour for half an hour, and I do the New York heat map update. Same thing again, higher time frame analysis, thesis generation, shortlist for New York, and I post it in the group. And then again I leave the screen half an hour typically, prepare the mindset, protect myself from being triggered into the market, especially around the open. I traded the open blow-offs a lot in the past, but I just don't do it anymore. It's just much more relaxed to come back to the screen later and then see what's going on. And this is what I do. Then 9:45 to 10 o'clock, I come to the screen again, watch what's going on, what the open did to the charts, and then again session screening. I'm focusing on the major time rotations, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, maybe 11:30. Then I stop. Still the discussion, is it a runner that you want to let run longer, or what I often do is just a 15-minute scalp or half an hour scalp, and then call it a day. Journaling, and then wrap up, clean up the charts, do a daily journal entry to wrap up the whole thing, and then come to the evening for the family for the normal dinner and going and bringing to bed. So that was the overview. Now we go into one session. So that's my end-to-end process, how I prepare and trade a single session. 3 major steps. First is thesis generation. This happens in first hour, as we just discussed, typically half an hour. There I look mainly at higher time frame signals. So I look at the 5-star signals: breakout close, breakdown close, inside day, outside day, day zero. So really, is a market out of balance? And do I get a parabolic pattern across time frames somewhere? Because this is, of course, the best indication that if you get a setup, then you also get a nice move. Then I quickly check the weekly template. So is it front side, back side, pump and dump and pump, parabolic? So we will come to that. So this is the very first step on a daily time frame. And then I go down to the 15-minute time frame and check the multi-time frame setup. Are the time frames aligning? Do I get a 2 or 3 star setup? And what's the daily template looking like? Front side, back side, pump and dump and pump, or parabolic. So this is done, these 2 steps in thesis generation. Then, as discussed, I leave the screen. Coming back, end of second hour, starting here again. So you check, how does it look like after the open? Is it really confirming? So you check if the thesis you wrote on your chart and the trade you placed potentially looks good. And then you dive into session screening. So you really observe here, coming to entry confirmation from 10 o'clock Eastern Time, New York, from 9:30 Central European Time, London. You check the open box. You check the EMA ribbon. So do you have a rollover? How does the EMA look like? You can check this even before the open box closes. Then you fully focus on the open box setup. And if the open box gives an entry, breakout, fake out, for example, then you work your thesis backwards. Then you check, okay, if you have a breakout, does this fit your thesis you developed? And if yes, you have a trade. If it goes in the wrong direction, it's conflicting and you just ignore it. And then from there, if it confirms, you just take the entry, you decide if it's a scalp or a trade to hold, and then you lock in, take profits, stop loss, and see whatever happens. So that's the overall process. Now let's go to the charts and work through the whole process with one example, and at the end I will also show you a couple of more examples that you see. This looks like a lot, but if you are used to that, you are very quick with every of these elements. So it's just a minute to check the daily template, or even less. So overall, if you are experienced, you can manage a lot of these things without making it a science project or analysis paralysis. For the beginning, I would recommend to still keep it a bit simpler. Start with simple elements of that, establish a daily routine, and then refine it step by step. So don't start with everything. So let's look at an example that I use to lead you through the whole process. It's a trade from early this week. Maybe some of you even remember it. It's Tuesday, 8th of July, the pound. It was a breakdown close, 5-star, previous breakdown continuation, low-hanging fruit, 3-star setup, multi-time frame, open box breakdown. You see here is my entry, open box breakdown, entry 1035, sweet spot time rotation, target previous day low. This was hit after 2 hours with an R8. So this is a very nice trade that exactly fits into my daily routine and process, and I will go through it with you and explain the whole process, how it came to this trade. So let's start with the outcome of the analysis phase of the thesis generation. This is my heat map. This is how I develop my shortlist and how I document all my analysis for the session. What does it look like? What is the content? You see here the very first thing I'm looking at is 5-star signals. So I'm looking at breakout close, breakdown close, inside day, outside day, day 0. These I immediately mark as yellow, and they get maximum priority to look at. Then I will go through each time frame, month, week, and day, and make analysis for that, breakout, breakdown, so determine the bias and color the bias accordingly. So dark color means strong bias, light color means weak bias, yellow color means parabolic. So you immediately see how this aligns across the time frames. So this is very important for me, because during the session we really have to be sure that we don't do stupid stuff, and we don't want to do spontaneous trades. So I always, during the session, switch down Discord, put my heat map on my third screen, and have this open all the time. So I remember what was my analysis, what's my focus, and if I come up with silly ideas, I can look there and immediately bring myself down again and focus myself on my plan. So then I go through each of the pairs. I develop an opinion on the context, overall evaluation, and then I develop a thesis. If I like the thesis a lot, if it's aligning strongly and the 5-star triggers, then I color it accordingly. So let's go through our pound example. So here we see it's yellow already because it's a breakdown close. We will see this on the chart in a minute. We have a fake out high on the month. We have a breakout close on the month, 3 months of long. It's out of balance uptrend. So strongly coming up, but now faking out. The week is in fake out high. The day is in breakdown close. So full alignment across all time frames, 5-star triggered. So context, high of year, fake out high, pullback, watch weekly breakout close level. Thesis, breakdown close, 5-star triggered. So breakdown close, breakdown continuation is the idea. Color red, this is one of my absolute focus pairs for the session. Then I put there additionally thoughts on the week, thoughts on the day. So we check the news calendar. Do we have any news in the week that are relevant? What's the news on the day? In this case, there was just no news at all. So the British pound on Tuesday. As I came to the screen, what did we see? But first, let's look at the layout and the template I'm using here. So you see here my 5-star screener template. It's a collection of indicators. Main indicator here is Trend Predator Pro. That's my personal one. You see here the bias table that's produced by it, daily, weekly, monthly bias. You see here it's already bearishly aligning. Month in fake out high, week fake out high, currently inside. Day break down the previous fake out high, month, 3 months of longs. You see here contexts, downtrend, fully aligned. That's why it's red. The setups you only see on the lower time frames. So here we then go through a thought process starting from the higher time frame as we just discussed. So we check the month first. We had a first month of breakout, second month of breakout, third month of breakout, breakout close of the month. So pretty overextended on the monthly. Still trading above this breakout level, but here we have a monthly fake out high, closing price up here, now pulling down. We had here 3 breakouts, closes in breakout on the day with a very strong switch candle here. So the colors of these bars are my fake out highlighter. So this shows you the breakout closes that are green, the breakdown closes that are red. What it doesn't show yet is inside bars. Like here you have an inside bar that should be yellow. I will add that soon. These are the major 5-star signals you're looking at. Then I have colored the Wednesdays because if you have a breakdown close on Wednesday, you typically get nice trades on the day after. That's why I have this on. I think that's it indicator wise. So let's look at it. Month we just had. Week is fake out high, bearish. Day we had a huge switch candle breakdown here, inside day. Next day faking out the high. Yesterday giving a trade to the other side of the inside day, to the low. That was also a nice trade here. An inside day continuation, taking out the inside bar stops. Now we have a breakdown close. Everything bearish. This is all you need from this template. You look at it, you get your impression, you look at the ranges. Also you see here we had a multi-week consolidation. That's also something you look at. You get a fake out low that expands to the other side, and then you come back down, and then you look at your typical patterns. Here you have an inside day trade, and now you have a breakdown close continuation trade. So that's what you're looking at with this template. So what I do next is I go to the 15-minute time frame with my heat map analysis template. For this I have additionally on the market profile on the week and the day to check the flow and if it's out of balance and if there is any naked point of controls. So I always mark these levels, like here a naked point of control. You see this one here, never revisited, and you look at like a breakdown, breakout close. Do you have any market that's out of balance? We don't have that here at the moment. And here now we have our breakdown close, but it closed inside the value area. That's fine. Current day trades inside. Our idea is now, after the breakdown close, that we get a breakdown continuation, or even a fake out high continuation down to the previous day's low. So thesis here would be breakdown continuation, previous breakdown continuation, previous breakdown continuation. I always want to have that on my chart, that I don't forget it. And I also put the trade on the chart, so just an estimation of it. So it could be that we enter somewhere here. Target would be at the previous day low as a classic example. So something like this. You put that on your chart, then you do remember your idea, and that's it. Then this is how you leave the screen. That's all the analysis you do, and this is then on one of your focus pairs once you screen the session. So how to develop a thesis. So these questions are the ones to be asked across the two templates I've just been showing you. So I've always start with a higher time frame, with the monthly. We've seen that. You start monthly, weekly, daily, and then you think about a potential setup. And you always ask the same questions. I mean, we don't go through those now. You can read them. Also, you don't need to do it exactly as I'm doing it. It looks like a lot of things. It's not really, because most of these things are just one thought, you know. You look at the weekly template, you see it immediately. That's 10 seconds. It's just important that you know in your mind, and this becomes muscle memory then, what are you looking for? So it's always the same. What's the bias of the time frame? You know, breakout, false break inside. Where's the closing price? Do you have any signals? Are you out of balance? Opening, closing out of balance, right? And this you go through all these, and at the end you answer the potential setup. And this was in this case a fake out high continuation targeting the inside bar stops at the low. So this is something you need to define for yourself. That's the most important thing. Your analysis process that you do every day for every pair. And this should not take longer than, I don't know, a couple of minutes per pair maximum. So it looks a lot, but if you do this every day, you're typically very quick. Okay, then the next element I just mentioned is the 5-star logic. So this is what I use as an overlay, so to focus even stronger. So you do the analysis. I typically do it for my whole basket quickly. Also, I mean, for the later sessions on the day, even if I don't have a real idea, I want to have my analysis ready. And then I look at here, do I have any triggers for 5-star opportunities? So meaning breakout close, breakdown close, inside day, outside day, day zero. These are the ones that I marked yellow on my heat map, as you have seen. And these are the ones to watch very closely, because these typically give very nice moves if you have a setup. Additional confirmation, what makes these even stronger is if you are in the second half of the week, if you're trading around the month extremes, if you are triggering or recently triggered a monthly level, so not inside the previous month, close to a monthly time rotation makes it even stronger. If you have 3 breakout or breakdown closes after each other, not sequentially necessarily, can be something in between, but 3 major pushes out of a breakout or just in sequence makes it more interesting. Or if you have 3 breakout closes and then a first red day, for example, in sequence, this is also pretty interesting, important, as we've just seen actually. I mean, you had all these breakout closes on the pound, then a huge first red day, then an inside day. So this is overall a pretty bearish formation, and still flashes 5-star opportunity. So this is also something that takes 30 seconds. It seems complex. If you're interested in that, there's also a video on it in my playlist, as for most of these things. But here then it's just one quick assumption, and then you mark it on your chart, and then you know if you watch it or not. So then the same with the weekly template. We won't go through this now in detail. There's also a video on it. This is also quickly think about it. So where are we along the week? Is it Monday? Is it Wednesday? Is it Thursday or Friday? Is it front side or is it back side? Is it building liquidity along the week that unloads on Friday? Or are you on Monday and are in a range expansion and starting a move from there? So really be aware of it. This is also, it seems complex, but once you are aware of and used to thinking around these terms, it's a very quick thing to just look at it, especially on Mondays, of course. So we are for the pound, you know, we look at the closing range and we already have that, right? Because we had a fake out high, closing back inside. So we are the closing range, we are trading probably away from it or breaking down from the closing range. So you're not trading reversals on Monday especially, but you're looking for continuation. So it might be here a continuation down. It's probably not this pattern what we have on the pound here, but Monday of course is specific because the weekly template is fresh. If you're at the later days, then there's more to consider, of course. Good. Then multi-time frame setups. This is something that I can't cover completely here, of course, because it's more about the routine that will be in the next videos. But here, if you have trend predator, it shows it to you as I just have showed it on the chart. So look at for 3-star or at least 2-star setups of trend predator. This is mainly the continuation trades, meaning you have a previous day's breakdown that continues the next day, for example, with the higher time frames aligning. That's a very strong one. Or a fake out, previous day fake out back into the trend. I think that's what we had on the pound. It faked out the inside day high, coming back in, and the current day, the Monday, trades inside. We have all time frames bearish. It's exactly this setup, additionally with an inside day on the day before. Then you have fake out breakdown days on the day. They can be also very strong, especially if they combine with an inside day. So this is a breakdown continuation on the day, maybe an inside day trend. You don't want to be extended, higher time frames bearish, or a fake out on the day. You have a fake out back into the trend, potentially inside day, potentially 3 days of longs, then you get a nice setup. So study those. And once you have your triggers on the higher time frame and your weekly template, just look for 3 or 2-star setups that you hunt. And if this comes together and you have trend predator that even shows it to you, then it's even better. Reversals are also part of it, but those I typically wouldn't hunt. I almost do them. I don't do them anymore. As you see, I mean, this is a reversal if you want on the pound, but it's a late reversal. It's a reversal continuation, and then you are on the left side. If you would have taken this as it fakes out the high, this would have been much more risky, because the lower time frames, the higher time frames would have been bullish. So sometimes I take those, but rarely, because it doesn't make much sense, because it's risky, because it can just make another leg up. It's better to wait for it to really break down then, and then you take the continuation. This is only shorts. The same logic, of course, applies to longs. So if we look at the logic, how these setups look like, there's also a YouTube video on signals and setups in my playlist. You see here the logic of these continuations, like a breakout on the day from the previous day high, continuing, breakout continuation if you have a full aligned uptrend, or a fake out high on the day with a fully aligned downtrend. Then you could have a breakdown or a fake out on the day before, currently trading inside, and then you take the continuation. And here the same around previous day low, breakdown continuation, fake out low continuation in a reversal into the uptrend, or a breakout fake out low, next day inside, and then a continuation. So these are the major setups I'm looking at, the 3-star, and that's the logic how trend predator also flashes you the signals. Maybe to summarize that, what are we really looking for with all this analysis in our charts? And this is always the same across all time frames, and you need to be aware of that. This is what gives your edge. This is why we have a little bit of predictive power in the market, that we identify these patterns across time frames. So for me, the major pattern, different relevance than maybe Stacey has. Stacey starts with the pump and dump and reversals. I'm starting with the continuations, as we also have here with the pound. So the low-hanging fruit in the end. So here we looking for markets that are aligning the bias across time frames in one direction that are broken down, and we just take the continuation. Why is that so strong? It's so strong because people are buying the low typically. And if you have a very strong momentum in one direction, you take this liquidity and then make a large move to the other side. It might be inside here, breakdown, continuation, trading back to this low, or even going in a range expansion to the other side. So this broken down market, 3-star alignment. The second one, also very important, is parabolic setups. That means that it squeezes somehow an inside day or a peak formation high, peak formation low coming into your day, maybe with multi-time frame alignment even, and then you know if this breaks out, you go into a measured move. This is also why we mark this as 5 stars. Then reversal setups. I don't hunt them too much. Most people do. If they are very nice, I still take them. So 3 days of longs or shorts, first red day, fake out high, potentially then rolling over and going back for the liquidity of the profitable traders. You typically don't need to be aggressive with that, because if you wait long enough and take the continuation of this reversal, then you are again in a continuation setup. So if you wait for this down here and potentially all the time frames are rolling over, then you have a continuation setup again. So don't fight them too early, rather take them as a continuation, then you are also on the safe side with the reversal setups. So this is something you look for across all time frames: month, week, day, 8 hour, even on the lower 1 hour, 15 minute and 5 minutes. And this is what gives our edge. So short recap, where are we in the process? So we did signals, we did the thesis generation with the first idea of these setups. And now we come into second hour, end of second hour, and are looking for setup confirmation. So that's the session screening. So how do you then run your session after your pause? That's the thing. So we already have the thesis on our chart. We know all of this, and now we approaching does the setup confirm and does the entry confirm? That's what we're looking at. So we're coming to the screen with our pause. How do we start off the session after the pause? For me, very important always before you start the session is that you really prepare yourself mentally. Don't just sit in front of the screen, look at the chart and consider jumping into the first trade. So you really need to be very much prepared that you don't do stupid stuff. So I've been working on that a lot. I do sometimes breathing exercises. I'm looking into this deeply at the moment, also with a breathwork facilitator. Maybe I will give you more details around that. So a quick exercise before the session that you are in the right mindset is extremely important. And I go through this mentally, not always line by line, but in general, it's very important that you be clear what you're up to. You know, you really need to be calm, concentrated. You don't care about P&L. You don't try to make anything back. And you also don't try to make money in the session. It sounds stupid, but that's the worst thing you can do, that you think you need to make money with your next trade. That's wrong. You don't need to make money. You need to execute your system, and you don't need to take any trades. That's very important. You don't want to take a trade. If you feel the urge to take a trade before the session, this is a red flag. So you really need to be rather, I found out I need to be slightly fearful, right? Slightly fearful to lose a trade. So fully focus on risk management, and tell yourself you only observe. You only take the very best trade. You only observe, and if anything confirms that you planned before, then you might take a trade. You are fully prepared. You need to be sure you are fully prepared. Do you have your heat map ready? Do you know what's going on? Do you feel an urge to trade? If this is, I already told you, it's a red flag. don't watch Discord right before you're trading, because if you see others making large trades, you already are in pressure, or you see others' ideas. It's very dangerous, you know. You didn't have the idea on your chart, someone else tells you, oh, this looks good, then it's immediately planted in your subconscious mind, and if this makes a strong move, you might still jump into it. So shut everything down, fully focus on your own thesis and heat maps, breathe, and be completely calm. You need to be aware that everything is checked and the news schedule is clear. You only take trades with a signal, a planned and fully confirmed criteria. You may even fight down the first impulses. That depends on what your mistakes have been the last time. So always have some objective. For example, I at the moment, if you follow me, you've seen that I implemented my iron fist strategy, because I very often take profits early, which is fine if you're scalping. But as you will see also in the pound trade, this is one of those where I just tell myself, you know, an inside day trade, it will go to the other side of the range. So put your take profit there, and then don't even consider managing your trade anymore. You know, it will go there. It might pull back. It might also stop you out, but in very high probability, it will just go to the other side. So put your take profit there, iron fist holding, don't do anything, wait until it hits. So that's my plan for the moment. Yours might be a different one. That's very individual. Then only take one, maximum 2 trades. Do not re-enter after being stopped out. Do not touch your stop loss once it's placed in. Journal every trade. Very important. So have something like this before your session. Make some breathing exercises that you're not stressed or greedy or whatever, or anxious. And then fully focus on executing your plan. Very important. So what's the template that I use to screen the session and also to trade? So this is the template that's in a layout of 6. I will show you that, but this is how I design my template that I look at during the session. What's on there? Main indicator, again, of course, is trend predator that does all the high and lows, the closing price, and the breach levels. So here you see daily breakdown from the previous day, closing down here. So that was our breakdown close for the pound. Now pulling back up into the daily breakdown level, retesting that. So we are in a daily low-hanging fruit situation. What else do I have here? I have my trend predator fake out. That shows me also the switch candles. So I mainly use it for switch candles and fake out. So I don't use it on the lower time frame for breakout and breakdown closes, as we've seen on the daily time frame. Here I want to see the trend change. So the switch bars are dark red for me, and the fake out bars are light red or green. So this we will also see later. I mean, here you see already on the 15-minute time frame, this is pretty nicely showing you here, for example, switch bars at the top, coming back down, fake out low bar, switch bar here, turning the trend up. You see here these fake out low bars and so on. So this helps a bit to read the trend, and I also use it then for entries. You will see that in a minute. Additionally, I have here especially the open box indicator set. So I selected a couple of indicators that help me to show the open box. And for this, we have the open box for Asia, for New York, and for London, and the open VWAP and the open level. So we discussed that, how this is used in the open box 2.0, and I also will show that. This I always have on my chart because that's at the core of my entry strategy. So here, for example, also what we see is the 8-hour high and low is an inside 8-hour, so that's probably potentially parabolic. And also an inside 8-hour, you potentially trade from the inside, not necessarily, but if you have a nice setup, you also can trade the parabolic blow off of this inside bar. So that's how we come to the screen. we write, or we already have the thesis on our screen. We have the idea of the trade on our screen. So the entry would be somewhere below this 8-hour breakdown level, target previous day low, so something like this. At the moment, we see the context is downtrend. The setup is inside because we are trading inside this 8-hour. So no confirmation yet as we screen from here. So that's how we come to the screen. What are we doing from here? So once I prepared the single pairs, as you've seen the template, I go to my 6-screen layout. So I have always 6 pairs on, and I stick to this layout and to this view 99% during the session. So it's extremely important that you don't flip around. Flipping around makes FOMO. So you really want to be in control. You watch, you decide on which pairs you watch. You don't watch anything else. That's how I do it, at least. So decide on your short list, decide on your focus pairs. You have backup pairs with this 6 ones. So typically I have 2 or 3 that are on the short list, and then I have some others that I just observe. And on this screen, then I come into the session and I watch the open box pattern. And once a setup confirms, I go to the 5 minutes. The other ones are staying on the 15. So this is always 15-minute time frame. And then you watch if your thesis confirms what the open box does, and if the 8-hour levels, high and low, are triggered. That's the only thing you're doing. And then once your setup is confirmed, you go to the 5 minute and zoom in a bit more, and then you screen the entry. But I still stay on this time frame. I mean, you fully focus on this one segment. You obviously need a large screen for that. If not, maybe just even switch to one pair and only watch that. That's even better, probably, if you are convinced of this setup. But then deeply dive into this one pair and fully focus on the candle pattern. So we will come to that, how this works then. Don't flip around. Very important. So what are we then, once we are sitting in front of the screen and patiently screening what's happening, what is our thought process? So the thought process, how to screen a session. Again, this is my thought process. You don't need to do this exactly like this. You can change all of that. Important is that you really know what you're looking for. So over trading and all these spontaneous trades and re-entering and all that stuff comes from not knowing what you're looking for. So if you have a very clear plan, you typically stick, or it should be easier to stick to the plan. So what am I looking for? It's always the same kind of reiteration. You're starting off typically, who is trapped? So you really want to see that someone is trapped on multiple time frames, on the higher time frame, on mid time frame, and then here on the lower time frame. So you typically wait for a 5 or a 15-minute fake out, or at least a wick that shows you that someone is trapped in the wrong direction. This then gives you a nice entry. Then you constantly check the intra-session setup open box. So how is the session building up? That's the open box strategy. We will come to that. That's, of course, the key in this phase. Then you reconsider the developing setup on the day. So once this looks good, you again come back to what you thought of before. So what is the setup on the day? What was that? Does this fit together or not? And then reflect on your overall thesis. What was your thesis? Does your thesis fit to all that? And then are you at the major time rotations? So this is kind of reiterating for the major time rotation. So you go back and forth. Who is trapped? What's the open box setup? What's the setup on the day? What's your overall thesis? Are you at time rotations? And this you do all the time for your major sessions until you get a final confirmation. So as I said, build something for yourself. You know, I have a lot of questions here. I typically go through that. It looks like a lot, but it's not, because it's just a very quick thing. It's just what discretionary traders do in their subconscious mind. I try to break it down. This is the considerations you have once you look at the screen. So then fully stick to your thought process. This is my thought process. for every trade. It's always the same thing. Keep that in mind from beginning to end, as we discussed. 5-star signal, weekly template, 3-star multi-time frame setup, open box prints, previous 8H triggered. Are you backside of the day? What's the daily template? Is the open box already printed? What's the open box pattern? Do you have a continuation trap? Then you take a trade. That's the process. As simple as that. There's a lot of stuff behind it, but it's always this process. If there's a break somewhere in between, if it doesn't look nice or you're not sure, wait. Don't do anything, right? That's the process. So then setup on the day. So this is very important. Also during, as we just seen, during the open box as it prints, we will come to the open box also in a minute, always consider the setup on the day. So how does this set up? Are you in a high of day, high of session, long squeeze short, or in a high of session, high of day, parabolic long or short, depending on the setup, of course. Be sure what that is. It doesn't take a long time. You really wait for a price to extend itself in one direction. 3 sessions of rise, 3 sessions into high, exhaustion, deathline setup, potentially rollover back into your trade. That's one pattern. The other pattern is just a parabolic continuation setup. This is what you often see and what gives the best setups. Peak formation high, peak formation low, blow off across 3 sessions, or a parabolic day even. Asia going one direction, London going one direction, New York blowing off in this direction. So I have a video on that setup on the day. If you are interested, look at that. It's fundamental. It doesn't take a lot of time. You just look at the chart and you immediately see what's going on. That's very important. And if this is confusing, be careful. So typically you want to have a very clear setup on the day. So we will look at that also for our pound situation later again. So then, what are you doing? You're waiting for the open box to print. So this is always the same thought process once you come to your trading window. It's a bit different in London and New York. In London, you can start from 9:30. I typically don't do that. I wait now for 10 o'clock Central European or 11 typically. In New York, it's 10 o'clock and then 10:30, 11. That's my major entry sweet spots. I will come to that why. And then here, always reiterate the same thinking. Previous day's levels are your strike zones. So that's the starting point for all your setups. We've done that. First hour sets up. You have a first hour high and low. This already is the open box, open range for the session. Then the 8-hour close in New York, it's 9 o'clock. In Central European, London time, 7 o'clock. It fixes the anchor level. So this determines your setup. You really want the 8-hour to be hit, and the bias of the 8-hour needs to be in favor of your trade. We only take trades if the 8-hour is in our favor and preferably aligns with the daily bias. That's the core of the setups, and the best setups are aligning even stronger. Then the open box sets the trap. So if this is closed, then we are alert and looking for a trade. Third hour shows the trade. Here, if we enter this time frames, then we try to identify the open box pattern. And if we identify that, if we get an open box setup and it aligns with everything we've been thinking before, then we take the trade. Always the same. This is the key moment where you start thinking about a trade. So, time rotations, London. It's a bit different than New York. London, open box, closes 9:30. There you might take a trade, especially after 5 minutes. This is a sweet spot. But this is often first mouse. So I look at it, but it's a 30-minute rotation. I prefer the 1-hour rotations. Then 10 o'clock is the 1-hour rotation. That's the major sweet spot. So here, especially then 5 minutes later, that's my entry sweet spot. Then 10:30, especially 5 minutes later, is one. 11 o'clock, especially 5 minutes later. And never enter right before the major rotation. These red zones, these are critical. So if you're interested in that, there's also a video on that, on the London session, and also open box videos, and the session templates touch on that. That's London. New York, similar. It's just that the 8-hour closes 9 o'clock, first hour high and low, then you have half an hour pause, then you have equity open box closes 10 o'clock, and then it's a bit more dense here, so you have more entry spots in a short time. In New York, 10 o'clock plus 5 minutes, 10:15 the next 5 minutes, 10:30 plus 5 minutes, 10:45 more or less immediately, 11 o'clock. Latest I'm typically looking at is 11:15 or 11:30 sometimes. And again, never take trades before the major rotations. Sweet spot for me is 10:15. This is one of my favorite entries in the New York session. And you will see, if you look at that and be aware of that, you will immediately see how those work and how timing gives the rhythm in a session. So then we want to check the ribbon. This I will also show you for the pound trade. The ribbon is just a visual help to see time frames rolling over. So what we always want to see is that we have a coil here, for example, in this case, after a breakout close. And then once it rolls over, you see it's crossing over, and then we are trading away from the ribbon, and then you trade with that. Stop loss you can place above the ribbon. That's what Stacey says. I don't know, you don't need to do that, but this is just a visual representation of a momentum rollover, and you want to be sure that you're trading away from the ribbon and are not in a wide ribbon situation and somewhere in the middle, because then it's not clear yet. So that's a quick check. It's just 10 seconds. Just click it on, look at it, and then click it off again. And then fully focus on the open box pattern. This is what we will do. Open first hour high and low, open box prints, and then we come into our trading window and we only look for open box fake outs or open box breakouts. That's the open box pattern. And we are aware of the equity open VWAP and the equity open level, because here the first traders entered the market. Very often the market comes back to take them out, and the VWAP shows you who is in control. So as long as you trade above the VWAP, buyers are in control. If you go below the VWAP, sellers are in control. So this is typically for a good trade, you want to lose VWAP and open level and potentially also the open box. Sometimes you can trade it from inside, especially if it's wide. You can take a range trade of the open box. The better trades are typically breakouts of the open box. And then the next target always is open box 1x range expansion. If you're interested in that, look at my open box 2.0 video. So final, once confirmed, execute with confidence. So if you really get your confirmation, just take the trade. Don't think about it anymore. You thought about a lot of stuff, and at that moment your mind will trick you. You will need to be sure that, or aware that, a trade is a bet. So you never know for sure if this works. It's always a bet. Don't try to be right. Don't try to win the trade. Only look at your criteria and then enter the trade, place your stop loss, place your target, and then accept whatever happens. Expect a random outcome. That's what Mark Douglas says. Don't try to be right. And in the moment of the entry, your mind will always tell you, oh, this doesn't look good. And the thing is, you need to be aware of that, that the good trade is the hard trade. So the best trades, they feel horrible in the moment you enter them. Your subconscious mind will always cry, that's wrong. If your subconscious mind tells you go in quick, this looks good, then don't do it, because this is a manipulation of the market typically. So your subconscious mind is your enemy, more or less, because trading is a constant swinging upstream against human nature, as Peter Brandt points out nicely. So in the moment, especially of your entry, you have to fight your human nature and just stick to your plan. That's very, very important. So what's the template? that I use to screen the session and also to trade. So this is the template that's in a layout of 6. I will show you that, but this is how I design my template that I look at during the session. What's on there? Main indicator, again, of course, is Trend Predator that does all the high and lows, the closing price, and the breach levels. So here you see daily breakdown from the previous day, closing down here. So that was our breakdown close for the pound. Now pulling back up into the daily breakdown level, retesting that. So we are in a daily low-hanging fruit situation. What else do I have here? I have my Trend Predator fake out. That shows me also the switch candles. So I mainly use it for switch candles and fake out. So I don't use it on the lower time frame for breakout and breakdown closes as we've seen on the daily time frame. Here I want to see the trend change. So the switch bars are dark red for me and the fake out bars are light red or green. So this we will also see later. I mean, here you see already on the 15-minute time frame, this is pretty nicely showing you here, for example, switch bars at the top, coming back down, fake out low bar, switch bar here, turning the trend up. You see here these fake out low bars and so on. So this helps a bit to read the trend, and I also use it then for entries. You will see that in a minute. Additionally, I have here especially the open box indicator set. So I selected a couple of indicators that help me to show the open box. And for this, we have the open box for Asia, for New York, and for London, and the open VWAP and the open level. So we discussed that, how this is used in the open box 2.0, and I also will show that. This I always have on my chart because that's at the core of my entry strategy. So here, for example, also what we see is the 8-hour high and low is an inside 8-hour, so that's probably potentially parabolic. And also an inside 8-hour you potentially trade from the inside, not necessarily, but if you have a nice setup you also can trade the parabolic blow off of this inside bar. So that's how we come to the screen. We write, or we already have the thesis on our screen. We have the idea of the trade on our screen. So the entry would be somewhere below this 8-hour breakdown level, target previous day low, so something like this. At the moment we see the context is downtrend, the setup is inside because we are trading inside this 8-hour, so no confirmation yet as we screen from here. So that's how we come to the screen. What are we doing from here? Now let's screen the session, and I'm telling you exactly how this works. So I have my 3 screens open. One screen on the right is this heat map. So this is completely in my face and I'm only considering stuff that's on this heat map. So as you see here on this day, I mean, there were a couple of other ideas, but they were not completely convincing. That means that if this approaches confirmation, I'm fully focusing on this one pair and ignore everything else, especially the ones up here. So only if this is invalidated, I might think about some of those and see if I get a confirmation for those. At the same time, you have this 6 screens open. So I always have my short list here, and one of this is then would then be the pound, probably below here in the middle. Imagine that. And this is what we are watching. On the left I have my broker software. So this is the major screen, and now let's simulate what's happening if we dive into this one template here for the pound, and let's follow price action of pound in that moment. So now let's screen. Our idea, previous breakdown continuation, the trade is on there. What are we doing now? We don't think about anything else than looking at the 8-hour range. So is the 8-hour triggered? and then we watch what Trend Predator says if the setup is confirmed, and then we fully dive into the open box pattern. So what's the time? 8:30. So that's a bit too early. Let's jump in further. So that's London Open. London Open immediately pushes up. So here we finalized all our analysis. We not necessarily even watch it here, but London Open pushes up, immediately hits the 8-hour level. And you see here, that's also interesting. We have an inside 8-hour. This we trade exactly as an inside day. So if we trigger one side, we either get a trend or we get a fake out high reversal to the other side. So if this does a fake out high, we have an even stronger momentum to the downside. On the other side, at the moment, we have a first hour high and low here that's in breakout. And also the day is in fake out low. And you see here, Trend Predator doesn't confirm anything. And also, of course, the open box is not yet printed. So we don't need to go to the lower time frame yet because nothing is confirmed. So we always observe on the 15-minute time frame. That's even more relaxed, and we don't push anything. So now we get another push to the top. This is 9:30, our potentially first entry. So there you have, in theory, an open box fake out high, 8-hour fake out high. But here you are still above this daily level. So you see here, we want a breakdown continuation. As long as you are above this daily level, you might still get a long trade. So I wouldn't enter there. So it's not confirmed. You also see Trend Predator doesn't show any setup yet. So we wait. So what's happening next? We lose the VWAP. That's good. And we lose the daily level, and we immediately get a 3-star setup. So from here, our setup is confirmed. So we go to the 5-minute. Down to 5 minutes, and then observe from there. So we clean it up a bit. But we don't enter yet. So we are at 10:10. 10:15 could be an entry, but in this case we are inside the open box, and the open box low is pretty close. And also here is the open level. I would be careful. So I wouldn't take it here. 10:15. So we let that pass. Pushing back down, further down here into 10:20, doing a fake out low or a wick to the bottom. So there is nothing to do yet. Then here we are breaking down from the open box. 10:25, not an entry window. We know we want to have 10:30 at least. 5 minutes before the time rotation, we don't enter any trades. So this is risky. Also, you see here the first hour low. So this you potentially want to wait. Next candle. Here, that's the 10:30 candle. This candle just goes further. This was a wick that you want to be engulfing. And this candle then goes down there, and you get a 10:30 entry right there. So typically I wait for the 10:35 one, and here you see 10:35 does a wick to the top. This is what I love to see, and then the rollover is my entry. So I really take it right here, as this candle 10:35 is perfect, rolls over bearishly, then I take it. Then I would maybe get a little bit of slippage, something like this, and you only need the stop loss to be maybe here above the open box low, a bit inside here, something like this. I think that's what I did. Then you have your take profit. It's at previous day low, maybe a bit shy of it to not risk anything. And then this is your entry. That's all you need. What are we doing then? We don't think about anything. You see here, 3-star setup. We have everything in our, all the thesis in our back. The thesis we are trading is exactly what we wrote here. We are in the window of our trade idea. We have an open box breakdown. then we just lock in stop loss and take profit, and then we let it run. It's our bet. We don't think about anything. We just let that run, lean back, or even leave the screen and wait whatever it does. You see here it's working through the open level of the day before, so you could be a bit scared there potentially, but we are not, because we trade the iron fist strategy, just holding on to the take profit. At the closing price you could look a bit, and also the 8-hour level, so potentially you get a reaction there, but in this case it's a 5-star setup, and also if you watch it, it just pushes through, then there's no reason to react to anything. It goes further, and then we are closing in to previous day close. Then I would watch the time rotation 45. I don't remember 100% anymore, but I think here, yes. So typically then the 1-hour rotation here around the previous day close, I think I had my take profit here just slightly shy, and it was just hit here and it was done. And you see R8 trade, very relaxed, just had to wait for it to confirm, and the whole process was very easy then in the end, and just did everything I wanted. So that's the process with one example, and now I will show you some more examples that you also see that it's not as complex and time consuming as it now seems. I just explained everything in detail to you, and now we'll show you some more examples in a quick run through, and you will see that this really makes sense. Now 2 more examples to wrap this up. Quick recap, what are we doing, that you see how this process works and how nicely and quick it is in the end. So we are looking for a 5-star signal, breakout close, breakdown close, inside day, outside day, day 0. We check the weekly template. We check the MultiTime Frames 3-star setup delivered by Trend Predator. So then we have our thesis. Then we check in the session the previous 8-hour. Is it triggered? Are we backside of the day? What's the daily template? Does this align? Is the open box printed? Do we get an open box entry? Do we have a continuation trap? And then we take the trade. That's it. So next example, Monday this week. I think it was a bit too conservative even, because I had already 3 major trades on that day, but still it's a nice example, and I also wanted to show an example of New York. So it's DJ 30 inside day, fake out high, continuation, low hanging fruit. So an inside day that faked out the high and then came back down. Very strong setup, target other side of the range. Entry was 10.15 here, second entry 10.30, both with time rotations. Target previous day low, cut with a 1-hour time rotation at closing price, because I wanted to be done for the day. It was 70 pip R3, but it ran all the way. We can look at that also in a minute. That's DJ, how it closed out last week. This is more or less what you see coming to the screen. I will then do the Monday, but on a daily time frame I only can show the whole Monday, and then you see the result again already. So we are in breakout close and have an inside day. So this is already a double signal more or less. Overall it's pretty bullish. So we had a multi-week consolidation here, broke out. We definitely now reached the 1 full expansion. We have a breakout close on the month also, and now pushing with 3 days of long out of the breakout on the month, and now closed this week. So let's go one more day. Do you see already the result? But then coming into the session, we already had a fake out low of the previous day high inside day. So the target of the inside day is always down here. So here we are definitely triggered. We have an inside day fake out high, meaning a closing range fake out high, inside day signal, also breakout close signal after multiple breakout closes. Pretty interesting setup overall, I would say. So we are going down to the 15 minute. On the 15 minute, we have a situation like this. Here you see already that's the inside day, high and low. We have even 3 sessions of rise here coming into this London session, a nice M pattern on top, faking out the day and the 8-hour level here. The 8 hour is not yet triggered for the session because it's not even closed probably. Yes, that's exactly 9 o'clock. So from there we observe. It's not confirmed yet. I mean, we have a 2-star setup here already, fake out high, continuation from the inside day. No, in the end it is already confirmed here. So you see we hit the 8 hour. No, we didn't hit it, sorry. So let's go on. New York open prints, fakes out high and low, as you see. That's why we stay out of this mess. And then it trades on, and here exactly we get the 8 hour triggered. We go to the 5 minute, and this is also exactly the that's the 10:10. So we wait until 10:15 here. Let's see how it goes on. So here was my first entry, 10:15, with this wick here. Because we had an open box breakdown. Here you have there's a nice wick to the top. Here wick to the top and to the bottom, but this breakdown and then wick to the top and roll over, that's what I want to see. I took the first entry here, then it went more or less sideways, and then with like 10:30 it came back up again. Here you have a fake out high, and then the 10:30 candle does another wick and then rolls over. So I made another entry here because it looked just too good. So, and then from here, as it's an inside day, you typically can just place the targets to the previous day's low. I cut this trade early because I wanted to, it was Friday evening. No, it was Monday, but I just wanted to end my day after many trades. So I just cut the trade here at previous day close. But as you will see, that was not necessary because it's from there. Another fake out high here. We just put in this the take profit and stop loss as discussed, as we typically do that. I think I took profit here with an R3 around about, but in this case Iron Fist would normally mean that you place the stop loss a bit shy of the other side of the daily range, and then we just let it run, pushing down a couple of candles, boom, hit. That's it. That's the trade. R5, first entry 10:15, take profit 1 hour later at 11:15. That's it. That's all. That's the process. That's how this trade worked. So next trade, last trade I will show you today. EU, that's a London trade, also on Monday. Also because of this trade, I was not very hungry anymore with DJ. That's an inside day reverse going into breakdown, range expansion, low-hanging fruit. So a breakdown, continuation, low-hanging fruit, 3-star trade, as you see here. Entry 10 o'clock sharp here with open box breakdown. Sweet spot open box breakdown exactly with time rotation. Target previous week's low. Cut after an hour with open box 2 range expansions into 4-hour time rotation. That's 11 o'clock Central European with an R4. So also pretty nice trade. Let's look at how this presented. So how does this present on the chart? This again, the 5-star screener, you see strongly pushing up. We had an inside week here on the euro that went into 1 full range expansions. That's typically something I'm tracking. So you see here the one full range expansion is exactly here. So this is unloaded, you could say. So no fuel left. Then we had the monthly close here and get a monthly fake out high. This is an inside day here, but we are still in weekly breakout. So you know, you don't take a short as long as you are above this weekly level. But then the next candle does a fake out high of the inside day and comes back down and also loses this level then in the London session. You don't see this here now. But we have as trigger day, we have the inside day, and overall it's a Monday. We get a closing range fake out high, potential range expansion to the downside. That's all you need on this level. Then we go down to the 15. Look at it a bit closer. Let's see how this presents. Here we have previous day high and low. That's the inside day. So here are the inside bar stops, and we already had an inside day fake out high in Tokyo and came back down all the way and took the inside bar stops. But down there we are still very bearish, because at this moment here we lose this daily level and also the weekly level, and then we have a full bearish alignment here, as you see. So that's interesting. And often after such a swing failure pattern, especially at beginning of the week, and also the inside day, we often go into range expansions from here. So we do the one full range expansion, we do a rectangle here and make our target zone, strike zone, target zone on the chart. And then from there we just observe it. That's our thesis: inside day fake out high, continuation, low hanging fruit. Fine. So then we go into screening and let the session run. So that's one of our 6 screens, and we just observe. So London opens, trades around these levels here, pushing up a bit. So we are not interested for the moment. We still observe it because it's one of our thesis. We of course have also the idea on the chart, something like this. So maybe we don't go all the way, that we will see. And then we want to let the open box print. And you see here already during the open box, as it prints, it confirms to a 3-star setup. Breakdown, continuation, low hanging fruit. So we go down to the 5 and very closely observe what it is doing. So we have a very strong death candle here coming into 930. So let's see what it does. Fake out low of this here, coming back up. So here was no entry. So you see here, that's exactly 930. We wait for the next candle. Next candle immediately pushes up. So there is no entry at this moment. But then this is exactly what we want to see. We get a youth death candle, fake out highlighter shows it. And then we come into the time rotations. We are interested, but this was not something we already would take here, because it's a 945 in London. That's not the major time rotation. Then the 950 comes up. We're still waiting, and then it drops down into 945, and then we get into our 10 o'clock. And here you see now that's the 10 o'clock. And again, we have the same entry as I always have. So you see here already these red switch candles. You want to have that. You don't enter that immediately here, because you see it's working into the open box low. But if you lose the open box low, then with time rotation, 10 o'clock entry, sweet spot, wick to the top, this is your entry. And then what I typically also do is that I switch on the time, the range expansions here of the open box. So the first target is always the first range expansion. The second one is this one here. And then you lock in You make your entry is right here. You take your stop loss would in this case be somewhere a bit into the open box. Target, I remember I cut the trade here somewhere, so it was an R4 trade. And then from there you just let it run. You see immediate collapse to the open box 1x, but it's a very nice setup, so we hold on to it. Another fake out high continuation signal, working a bit sideways, just held on to that with the target down there, and then it collapses down into the two open box range expansions. And I think here exactly that here you come into the 4-hour range, the 4-hour time rotation, and this is something I'm a bit aware of, because here you see we get a 5-minute fake out low switch candle exactly with the 4-hour time rotation. So this is my exit. Let's see if this was good. Yes, it was good. I mean, it's working down, but that's nothing you still wanna hold on to it. It even completed the one full range expansion, but to wait for 3 hours to get this little bit here doesn't make sense. So here you see same process all the time, same routine. Don't be spontaneous. Wait for the open box. Focus on the 3-star setups. Focus on the inside day, outside days, and then just lock in your stop loss and take profit. Let it run. Take your money and call it a day. So, why are we doing all that? Quick wrap up. Most importantly, because we don't want to do stupid things. So the daily routine is there to protect you. It's something to hold on to. It keeps you busy, and it lets you stay in control. So you're not reacting to the market. You're not triggered in or out. You just follow your plan, your timing, your process, and this is what makes you successful in the market. The moment your lizard brain gets triggered and you do spontaneous stuff, you will always do the wrong things. And on the other hand, if you do your planned things and you have a certain edge, which we have, then the statistics are on your side. You are the casino, and you will be successful. So that was it. Thank you for staying with me for so long again. Many of you know there is a lot of things in my environment where you can dive deeper into that. Follow these links here to my WOP. There's a welcome document. There is coaching available. There is information to my indicators. And also there is a Discord community where we discuss this stuff every day. If you want to join, go there. Also, there's mentoring available. All the information you find in this welcome WOP. Reach out to me, ask questions, like the video if you really like it, leave a comment. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day.